What's going on, everyone? What's happening? It's your man, Pat Bernard, aka the Gobbler, aka Pat from Ambler, and I'm along with my man, Steve Fuentes. Steve, if I know I butchered that, but anyway, Steve, uh, I know Tuesday was your first night covering the Philadelphia Union for Edge of Philly Sports. Uh, I know you were probably hoping for a W. We didn't get that. What did you see?
Uh, well, didn't see much of the middle of the field for sure because I got the rookie seat. Got that column, I
Yes.
got the column seat, right? The rite of passage, right, with the rookie seat. But no, it was definitely a different vibe, different feel up there. Um, it's crazy the how quiet it gets for away goals when the away team scores,
Mm,
and how instant, it's always been from down below. My season tickets are in the river end, so
mm,
I've always just heard it from that side. So to hear it from up top, Jack McGlynn's goal, how and that place just erupted. And no, it was being able to go to the post game presser with Jim Curtin, and to see that, and to see all the other beat writers and reporters, just really soak it in. I didn't ask any questions or anything, especially after a loss. I was like, you know what? Let me just sit back, observe, and just and then being
mm-hmm.
able to see and talk to the players after the game, see how their instant reaction. We're getting ready to start doing post game shows here in the future, so it's like being able to see it live from the players' point of view, and the head, the manager, and of course, like what you said, the catering, the food, top notch, man. It was on
Oh,
point. No, so it was a great experience all the way around. The only thing that would have topped it off is a win, but even to be up there for Gazdag's franchise breaking goal, 57th goal in the 57th minute. It was, even to be, to see that, everyone's reaction up there in the press box. It was like, oh, like, oh my God, this is history. This is Union history.
yes.
So it was an experience. It was an experience. I'm ready to do it again. Ready to get back up there. Ready to get the article out, and definitely got to get a win next time though.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely needed to bounce back. That's for sure. I mean, when I look at my notes, again, tough loss against Seattle. I kind of expected it. I know when I looked at the game on paper, the tough loss you took on Saturday. But no, nonetheless, let's break down this game. I mean, Seattle puts this Union team in a hole, down 0-3. I mean, Seattle came out gun blazing. I mean, every mistake that the Union made on Tuesday, what you mean, you could blame fatigue, whatever. Martinez made a mistake, in the middle of the field where that kid, Raul Diaz, just took a full advantage of it.
Oh,
And he makes a goal for him halfway through the circle, and makes a nice shot. And then it catches Oliver Zumala, off guard. Like he was way out of the box. He was just caught off, he was caught off guard. And then you got, the kid Vargas who creates his own shot, finds the back of the net. He's looking good. And then Raul Diaz gets a penalty shot. He makes his goal, so he gets two on the night. And this is all in the first half. I mean, this game was tailed two
yeah.
halves because the second half, the Union start to fight back. You got the Jack McGlynn. He's wide open. Bedoya was really solid. Bedoya found him wide open.
Oh my
He
God, yeah.
has some spacing. Yeah, he has some spacing of his own. He finds the back of the net. Then you have, and then you got Gazag with the header goal from Quentin Sullivan. Again, getting things going. They were up down. No, they were down 2-3, and then after that, it looked like Daniel Gazdag was getting another goal, but they called offsides, and then it was the right call, but unfortunately, the Union did not win. They lose 3-2, and it sucked.
And it's back-to-back home losses, which makes it even worse because that's what they're known for. They're known for anyone who's coming into Subaru Park, they're worried. And now it's back-to-back losses, and we haven't had that many home games at all this season. A lot of the games have been on the road. So now teams are
Mm-hmm.
going to be coming in here for the rest of the season and feel like, I'm not worried. You guys used to be unbeatable here. Now to lose
Yeah.
back-to-back games, and let alone to lose to a team like Seattle, who was sitting in 13th place in the West. It's the sloppiness, the careless turnovers from um, Martinez, and then to get mad about it and argue with everyone around him like he's not the one who messed up, and you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned Emma being out of place or, giving up that goal, that's because he expects Martinez to be able to make a routine, ball that's
Yes.
coming at him instead, and then I don't blame Curtin at halftime. The subs were huge at the half. Um, I know we'll talk about the Real Salt Lake game later, but compared to, he took a little bit too long for some of the subs in that game on Saturday, to where I mean at halftime when you're down 3-0, you're kind of forced at this point to start making subs. So, but Gazdag after the game, when I was back there recording the post game interviews with the players, he said that first half, it was so bad that he felt like that was the worst half of soccer that he has been a part of since he's played, that he's been a part that he's been since he's been with the club. And to say that, it's like, wow,
Wow.
like, oh my gosh. And then, post game, Jim, he said it. There are some things he can deal with when it comes to a loss. But one of the things that he cannot deal with is being outcompeted. And in that first half, they were 100% outcompeted. I said it to you last time we were on, a week and a half ago. This is one of those games that's just set up to be a letdown game. 13th ranked
Yeah.
team coming in, makeup game. You think you're having rest. Um, you think you're going to have a leg up being able to get a guy like Carranza to be able to sub in for injured Marcus Anderson, who started, the original game because of Champions Cup, the scheduling there. So we even had Carranza out on the pitch where
Yeah.
he looked he was out of place. He was trying really really hard, but it wasn't clicking. And I don't know if it has anything to do with the guys that he's normally out there with not being out there to start. Kai and McGlynn not being out there to start the game. But it's reverting back to last year's sort of stuff, things where first half woes, and then you're forced to be a different team in the second half, where you're getting away from your culture, you're getting away from your tendencies, and you're getting away from playing the Unions game, and now you're having to play catch up, and that's what we're seeing now.
Yeah, and you're right. You're like you said, they're going back to last year woes, and again, this is a first half that caused all by surprise. Did we expect the fatigue to play in? But you got to put that factor into it. You have to put the factor that Seattle just lost to Washington, and they're like you were saying, their season was kind of like their backs were against the wall, so they had to do something for a desperate punch.
Yeah,
And listen, they came out swinging that first all. I mean, like I said, that first half they put you in a 3-0 hole as it is. So I mean. You got to give that kudos to them. And every time you made a silly, stupid mistake, they capitalized on. We kept on mentioning about the Martinez. Just like you said, a nice little pass to him. I mean, it winds up going the other direction, and that kid Raul Diaz just took the other way. You saw and that's been a couple of the between this game and the game against Salt Lake City. It's been the same story. It's just those little silly mistakes. I mean, those other teams are starting to really go, full throttle. And you go look at that Utah game. You looked at the one. There was a couple of them. With the Glasnost, the header, the last hit. Hits off the header. What does Salt Lake do? They come back and they fire from outside the box, outside from the 18, and they find the back in the net. These are the mistakes you cannot be making, especially at home, especially when you're supposed to look like the dominant team. And now all that confidence that you had for the last 48 hours, it just went out the window. and now you're sitting in the 7th seed. Now you have to reclimb the hill again. Now you're facing a team, and we'll break them down a little later. That's right on your doorstep. Who's got a win on their belt? Now they're feeling confident. Now they're looking to and Washington plays very well at home. They are four. I think they're 3-2 or 4-2 at home. Either way, they still have a better record at home than they do on the road. But listen, let's get into a quick sponsor right here, and then we'll rehash all this right as soon as we get back from the commercial.
If you get hurt at work, in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or affected by criminal law, you call David R. Cherry of the Cherry Firm. Cherry Law Firm is here to fight for you and get what you deserve. Cherry Injury Law is a dedicated, well-established personal injury law firm built on the promise of aiding the seriously injured throughout the state of Pennsylvania. If you have been seriously injured in the state of PA by the negligence of another, and if you have questions for a Westchester or media personal injury attorney, please don't hesitate to call. Call 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your right. And again, that number is 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com.
Thank you, Dives. But yeah, like I said, when you look at this team, you look at some of the problems that's going on. It needs to be addressed. Like you say, you were in the press conference. Jim's already addressing it. Like, listen, we can't be playing like this. We can't start games this sloppy. I mean, listen, you could blame pretty much the back-to-back, but however, you're professionals. You should be able to handle this.
Yeah, he got and the other thing he got bombarded with is all the Ty Baribo talk and why he's not getting the minutes and why Donovan keeps getting the minutes over him. And he kept stressing, he wants to win. It's not like he's putting the people out there who are putting them in a position to lose. And I don't know the whole story behind. I can only say from what I see from my point of view with the whole tie situation, but it's the sloppiness from the players. I don't know if there needs to be some sort of new fresh blood, a new signing that isn't a homegrown. But I think some of these guys, you're getting at halftime, you're getting cryptic tweets from Jose Martinez. After the game or the next day, you're getting Andre Blake putting messages out there saying that, it's like sometimes, when it's over, it's over, or whatever it was. But these cryptic tweets, is there a toxic, is it a toxic environment? I don't know, but it's really starting to get frustrating. And I know from the fan base, because it's all right. Well, we were the only unbeaten team after 6 weeks, and then but there's a lot of fans and a lot of people who were, well, when you looked at what how they were unbeaten, people don't forget that 6-0 beatdown that Pachuca gave us. So when you think about that undefeated, it's kind of like with an asterisk sort of moment. But it's now they're reverting back to these tendencies. Everyone's getting the murmurs of, well, what's next? Now, and one of my favorite things that Curtin said at the very end was, everyone's voice grows when we don't win. And I was like, oh man, it's so true though, because now all these other things get brought up about the cryptic tweets and where's Ty? Why is this person getting minutes? Are you going to sign someone? What if Carranza leaves? So, the one thing that I do like, and you mentioned it earlier, is about Bedoya. Man, when he comes on the field, the team is such I don't know what it is. Leadership is what it is, but they're a different club. We're going to talk about DC's, big guy, but, versus Real Salt Lake, Arango. Every game that we're playing, we're going up against a team that has a all-star, superstar like caliber players, and they're able to get. Arango didn't get a goal, but he got an assist. And he was tied for league in assist. So now he figured out a way to, make an impact in the game. This last game, you mentioned it, Rui Diaz. He figured out a way to, he was the one guy we had to stop. We talked about him before. And what happened? 2 goals, and he made an impact. And it was the type of goal. That first goal, that's sort of setting the tone. When you make a goal from distance like that, it's like hitting a half-court shot to end the first quarter in a basketball game. You're going to come out with momentum, and it's you mentioned fatigue. There are other teams in the East that are better now. Cincinnati isn't playing around. The Red Bulls are a young team. Columbus, they're in Champion Cup's final. They just beat Monterrey. So there are teams, and of course you got Miami. So there are teams who are knocking at the door, and we got a team coming in. We're going to their house, this Saturday, and they got to figure it out. This team has to be able to galvanize themselves, and I'm hoping that someone like Bedoya, someone like Glesnes can step up. But it's hard when Blake, someone of his caliber, is expressing frustration like that, because that's going to echo throughout the locker room.
And when Blake does that from time to time, you'll see him get really, really frustrated. But like you said, though, we broke this down. Like, after that break that they just went on, like, they were going to play against some playmakers, right? They were going to get their little, again, they played against, what's that kid from Salt Lake? You had to face him. Then you went up playing against Arango. You played against Arango, and then you play against Diaz. Diaz is a playmaker. Again, top 10 in the league as far as scoring. Again, you're playing against, and then like you said, now you're going against. You're heading down DC again, a playmaker down there, and what's his name? He's top 3. It's like I said, you're playing against some some playmakers down there. So Christian Benteke, you got some playmakers that you're facing. So, but this team knew about it, and there's no excuse. You had a week's rest. You had a bye week. There's no excuse. I mean, you knew about the schedule that you had that was laying in front of you. You knew about the playmakers, and there's no excuse for it. I mean, there's no way you should have came out that tired on Tuesday.
Flat. They were just flat. And Bizo was so bad too. And it was so visible. And it's crazy how a week off can sometimes be bad. They say it in football. Sometimes you want to play in that wild card round when you're playing good. You don't want that bye. And this game kind of came in a way where you had the rest for this back-to-back, and you thought the way they played against Real Salt Lake, I actually thought they played a really great game. They just played against a really good team. That second goal, that first goal that Blake gave up was kind of, you can tell Blake's injured.
Yes.
Curtin said it after the game against Seattle, that his knee swelled up after that first goal, the way he had to go up to try to deflect it. And maybe that's why he couldn't get under it, get enough lift to make the save on the first attempt. So, excuse me. So that first goal that he gave up was kind of inexcusable. But that second goal by what's his name? I can't pronounce it. It was Katranus, Alexandros Katranus. Yeah, these names, dude. But that goal, that's a nice goal. The best of goalkeepers are going to give that up, even healthy. But besides that heel goal, that back heel shot, oh my God, it was such a sick goal. And I thought, oh, okay, I can deal with the draw in this game. I can deal with a draw against a good team, and that goal that they gave up, it was in the 90th minute, 89th minute maybe. And it was just so deflating because they played a good game. Ariel, I think, did a really good job on Arango, disturbing him and getting him frustrated. He showed a lot of fight, a lot of resilience all throughout that game. Ariel, I talked about it before. He's a Swiss Army knife. You can put him anywhere. The kid is so athletic. Carranza. I felt like Carranza played a real good game. He just didn't have a running mate. He didn't have someone who wanted to run with him.
Yeah.
So
What's up, Ty?
that game was frustrating the way it ended.
Yeah, and listen, sisters, get up. Yeah, I'm not even looking. I'm not even looking at my. Yeah, I'm gonna go like this.
Yeah.
Gonna go like this, Ty. But
Um,
look, you know what? First of all, Steve, you're right. From everything you said, 48 hours of being flat is not good enough. It's not going to win you games. You have to be better than that. Arango was cream plays again. He cooked Jack Elliott on the one, and he took it right to Gomez. Gomez finds the back in that. Yeah, it was sweet. And then you mentioned this past game again. We mentioned about the top. You know, you can't even that silly stupid mistake that Martinez made. You got to capitalize, and that's what Seattle was doing. Seattle was capitalizing on every little mistake that you made across the field, and they, again, first half they put up 3 goals on you. They put you in a 3 deficit. I mean, they again put up 3 goals, 2 from Raul Diaz, and 1 was from Vargas. And again, you look at those goals. Look how sick they were. Again, Martinez giving up that turnover, and then here comes, he gets the turnover. Here comes Raul Diaz. He hits it from halfway across the field, and then again he gets the penalty shot. Then you get Vargas just creating shots, just getting open and making goals. I mean, Oliver Simula was getting caught in that first half. In that second half, again, this team was a little different.
And to kind of add on to what you said about how these other teams are capitalizing on our mistakes, and we're not capitalizing on any of theirs, but we're also creating our own. That missed goal by Gazdag against Real Salt Lake. It was you're right there, and it's you got to convert that. There's other games, in the past where UWA has how many chances, to be able to convert a goal, which that could be the difference between a tie and a win, where we're drawing, where we could have 3 points instead of walking away with 1, or we could have converted, those, Jack McGlynn's goal was in the 55th minute, and then Gazdag's goal was in the 57th. And then I think it was like in the 77th minute, it was like 10 minutes later, where the game tying goal got called back because, again, of an offsides call. It's constant. I couldn't tell you how many goals. I can probably count 5, at least on one hand.
Right.
How many times there's been goals called back because of offsides. And it's just those mental mistakes that other teams are capitalizing, that we're not capitalizing on any of them from any other team. And that's super frustrating to watch, because it's like, you almost see it coming, before it happens.
You did mention something. I want to get into it on the other side, though. You mentioned about a player to take things away in a positive note. I know it hasn't been the brightest spot in talking Philadelphia Union, because like we mentioned how bad they've looked in the last 2 games, but there's been one guy who's looked really, really good. And you mentioned him earlier, but before we do that, let's take a quick commercial break, and we're going to talk about how good Daniel Gazdag has been in the last 48 hours. So let me quickly go through a quick break here, and then we'll be right back.
If you're a Philly sports fan and you want to travel with your favorite team, then travel with the best. If you want to travel with the pros, then go to phillysportstrips.com. Philly Sports Trips features premium travel and tailgating experiences for the best fans ever the Philadelphia sports fan. Philly Sports Trips has self-travel packages and full travel packages available with round-trip flights for Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, and even the Union. They even offer day trips for more local games. Go to phillysportstrips.com, sign up immediately, and tell them EOP sent you. Do not forget, Philly Sports Trips has all the away trips for the Eagles' upcoming 2024 season, including the Brazil trip week 1. Jump on it now before you lose out on all these great opportunities. Go to phillysportstrips.com and don't miss the next great Philly sports moment.
There you go, Philly Sports Trips. Here we go. Guess bye, guys. Like my man Dives mentioned, Ed, you guys want to go to a Philly sports trip? You guys want to go to a Union game on the road? That's the best way you want to go. We mentioned about a guy earlier, and I want to break him down because he's been your bright spot. He's been the workhorse of this team. He's been getting this team goals, and let's talk about that Dan Gazdag. I mean, let's start Sarah. You mentioned, excuse me, you mentioned about that goal. You mentioned the setup he got from Quinn Sullivan. Quinn Sullivan gives him the pass. He makes that backwards kick that goes right in the net. I mean, that's ESPN highlight worthy. I mean, you'll never see that again. And then he makes the header. Again, breaking the record here, 57 goals on his career. Steve, take it away. What can you tell me about Dan Gazdag?
He's, I think, been everything that the Union could have wanted and then some. To be able to, and it kind of is fitting, I mentioned it was at the 57th minute mark too, when he converted the goal, for number 57. And, last season, what did everyone only knew him as, penalty shot, how many, and he does, he has, I think he's up to 28 or 29 goals, from PK. But the way his timely goals, they're not just like, the Union are down, 2-3-0 all the time. And these are just goals where, the teams are lacking. They are incredible goals, from bicycle kicks last season to the other night where he has that incredible, back heel kick. He's a leader. He's number 10 for a reason. And his connection with Carranza, it's an amazing 1-2 punch, however you want to look at it. Really not even 1-2 punch, kind of a 1A, 1B, sort of our chemistry. And I think he's another player this team really needs to lock up. It's losing a guy next season like Bedoya. We keep talking about his leadership. You want this guy to be able to pass that torch to, that actual, captain's band possibly. I know Glesnes is there, he usually gets it, but breaking that goal, you want it to be in a win, obviously, but to be able to do it at home and not on the road is special. It was a special moment. He was definitely deflated at the end of the game, though. Saying that it was the worst half of soccer since he's been here, with the club. But, overall, what he's brought to this team is definitely, being able to play in the open field. There's been times where, it's been questionable about how, if he deserves the 10 spot. But as of late, and I think as a whole long term, instead of just looking things in a, microscope, really opening it up and really looking at this, panoramic view, he's been incredible for this team, and you really want him to be able to go into the Ring of Honor. You want him to be that guy to carry on the torch, like I said, after Bedoya.
Yeah, I mean, Colin's checking in. Steven, MB's back in the locker room for your information.
No, man.
Yes,
Didn't know anything. Didn't want to know anything.
Yes. But you know what, like I said, Steve, this guy, last year he kind of struggled finding the back of that. He was being more of a facilitator, but you cannot shine. He was leading the league last year in penalty kicks. Now this year he's just being a juggernaut in front of the net. And again, just knowing how to find the back of the net. 57 goals on the career. And again, just being a playmaker, just that pass that he got from Quinn Sullivan on Saturday night and makes the backwards kick into the net was just unreal. Like I said, ESPN highlight, just being a highlight reel. I mean, it was just nasty. I mean, yes, I could see Dan Gazdag in his highlight reel and with that backwards kick. I mean, again, 57 goals on the season on his career, just being an absolute stud. And like I said, last year he was just more facilitator. He still led the leagues in penalty kicks. He is just something right now that the Philadelphia Union can hang their hat on because he's doing the dirty work. You're going to need other guys to get in there, and you look at it sucks because the two that Tuesday he gets the call back, the all sides, and then Saturday, like you said, you missed about the redirect that he missed. I mean, but if he would have got those two goals in, we could have had different stories.
And then he's sitting up there with Arango for goals, tied for goals in the league, and the guy we're going to be going against on Saturday, the Belgian Benteke, right? We're going to butcher that too.
Yeah, Benteke. Yeah. I mean, right now he has 6 goals on the year. Daniel Gazdag Daniel Gazdag has 6 goals, 1 assist. I mean, looking really, really sharp. I mean, but like you said, you're playing against the top dogs, the top tier in the league as far as goal scorers, and we're going to get into that as well. And this team is really going to need their A game come Saturday. But Steve, let's get into a little bit of some of the signings that the Philadelphia Union made. They bring in David Vasquez, who played I think the U17 with LAFC, and he's played with the LA Galaxy, and they came over here for a little bit. They bring him up, and I believe they bring up Andrew Rick from Union too. I saw him a little bit 2 weeks ago playing between the pipes. Not bad work, but again, playing on the mainstay is a little different. But what can you take away?
Yeah, I think it's another great homegrown signing. It's what we've talked about in the past with this club and the way they're able to develop players. I mean, Paxton Harrison, the Harrison brothers, Quinn Sullivan, Harriel, Jack McGlynn. Jack McGlynn and Harriel play for for the United States national team. And then David Vasquez, who they just signed with the homegrown deal. He himself played with the under 20 United States national team. So he's in the right spot to be able to develop. I think he's signed through 2027 as of now. So he's 18. So he's already, I didn't realize that he was that old. I thought when they signed him to the Union 2 deal, I never really paid attention to his age. But for him to be 18, it's like, wow, okay. It's incredible. He's going to be, I would imagine he's going to get some playing time down the line. I think maybe Leagues Cup is a great timing to be able to unleash some of these young guys. And I think it would be great for him to be able to play with Donovan, be able to play with Rafa, and Marcus Anderson when he gets back. Familiar faces, familiar guys for him to be able to, even though they're playing, and having the Philadelphia the senior team uniform on. Leagues Cup, it is what it is. I know a lot of people are upset with it. So maybe it's a great opportunity for guys like him and Rick. He got called up again, so he got the fourth call up. So now you almost had to bring him a part of the team, especially with Andre Blake's health. You need him. You mentioned you saw him up close in person, and the kid, he's got some length to him, and some of those saves were incredible. Now he's going to be going up against, the Union keep going up against top tier guys. Every single one of these teams that we're going up against here in the next few weeks, they all have a guy. Every team has a guy because of Messi. Every team went out and had to go get a guy. So from here on out, we're going to need guys. And these two signings, I think, are good. If you're not going to go get a big dog and you're not going to make a big splash, go get some of these guys that are young, talented. We have the developmental coaches and the training to be able to go. Curtin spoke highly of him at the signing. I saw on the presser. He speaks real highly of the young guys, of the homegrowns. So I think he's going to be one of these next ones that we see that comes through the ranks and is going to show out. Another Quinn Sullivan, another Harriel, Jack McGlynn. He's going to be with that next group of guys with the Rafas and the Pierre and the Donovans of the world with the Union.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, he will be up there with those guys. And like I said, I like what I saw from him. Again, Andrew Rick, and like I said, what a way to send him up here. Just pretty much send it, feed him to the wolves, and see if he could just stand on his own because that's what he's going to do. Like you say, you're playing against some of the top tier guys in the MLS, and you're going to just see if you can sink or swim, and that's all is to it. So, but look, when I see this kid, I listen. I've seen some work out of him, some good work, and hopefully he can just carry it over and let his game grow into the MLS. Now, like you said, mentioned about David Vasquez. I'll see. Again, just to sell a young puppy and let him get his feet wet. When it comes to playing the MLS. But it's from what I'm seeing, and that's what they had written down. Um, See him what's he going to look like? Team up with Sullivan and so forth. Playing against some again that's something you want to have young legs go try and keep defense on their heels, and boom 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 and just keep them rocking. So yeah, I like it. I like that move very very much. So I mean, again, if you're not going to sign big names, which is teams know not to do, they just kind of go through their farm system and bring guys in here.
Yep. Yeah. And
Yeah,
and
you know what I mean.
these guys like Martinez, they're not going to be able to make mistakes like this if God forbid something happens to Zemla, and you do have to have someone like Rick come up who is definitely going to be put and thrown to the wolves when if you're going to keep playing like that in the center of the field, it's going to be bad. So these guys definitely going in DC are going to have to figure it out. Figure it out. They're going to have to put points up against DC. I know we're going to talk about them here soon, but
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy that it's the defense that we're worried about now this season compared to being able to put up goals. I saw a stat that the Union are one of three teams that have scored a goal at least one goal in every single game. It's the Union, LA Galaxy, and Vancouver Whitecaps. So you wish
Wow.
that it resulted in wins, more wins, but it's resulting in draws because we're getting down. We're down 2-0. We're down 2-1. We're down 3-0. So we're having to fight back. And it's like, man, you really wish that this defense could lock it down and figure it
Yes.
out. But it's the consistency. You got to be able to have the guys in there to be able to play together.
Yeah, you're going to need that. You're going to need, like you said, you mentioned about consistency. You're going to need guys who, like you said, who can step up, and especially on that defense side of the ball. Again, you're going to be dealing with some playmakers. Well, this is time for you to make some big plays. You can't let those playmakers get theirs, and you're going to have to come up with some incredible stops. Try and do something. I mean, you can't just be a doormat for these guys and just let them do what they want. This is what we need guys. We're going to need those big buys to try and make some plays here, and don't make costly ones because these guys they know how to. Again, these are playmakers. These guys know how to work around you. These guys know how to facilitate. They'll make you pay in more ways than one. So let's get in one more read here, and then we're going to break down this DC team. So let's take a look at share tickets.
Great moments don't just happen, they happen with you in the crowd. Sherry'sTickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less, play more with Sherry'sTickets.com and get the tickets you want. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10 and share an experience that will live on. Don't pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why use any other ticket reseller and get those hard to come by tickets to the big game? If you need a more personal touch, give them a call at 610-494-5050. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, don't overpay with the rest and save with the best at Sherry'sTickets.com. For that next great moment, save 10% by using the promo code EOP10. Great moments start at Sherry'sTickets.com.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, buddy. Um, but yeah, let's talk about some of the let's talk about that DC team that's going to be coming in here soon. Or no, we're going down there really, and you'll be down there, doing down there in the crowd, hanging out, watching the game. But here goes a couple things. We mentioned about Christian Bentake, however you want to pronounce his name. 8 goals
Yeah,
on the season. You saw him. He's a playmaker for those guys. Again. He's how do you want it? He'll deliver it. You want a bicycle kick? You want a top shelf? You want a header? He delivers all those things and more. So that's something you have to keep your eye on as well. So, how do you break down this game there, Steve, and to shut down this team?
So Bentique, he's got
Yes.
8 goals, right? He's got 8 goals, tied for second in the MLS, but he's only got 1 assist. So that tells me that he's not much of a facilitator, that he's getting these goals from, crosses, from the open field, from his speed. I looked it up. Midfielder Klitsch has 4 assists. Midfielder Stroud has 3 assists, and then one of their great defenders, Herrera, he's got 3 assists. So these guys know how to find him. So it's going to have to be another one of those games where Ariel's going to have to step up and be that guy that is the disruptor, the guy who agitates their main guy. But he's good. This guy, he's 6'3". He's a big dude. He's played on for the Belgium national team for 10 years. He's played for different clubs. I think Aston Villa, Crystal Palace. Big clubs over there in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to be a problem. He's going to be one of those guys where, like we said about Arango and Ruidiaz, you can't stop him. You're only going to be able to slow him down. This DC team, they give up goals though. So the Union, what I just mentioned to you, they're going to score, and you're going to have to score to be able to keep up with this guy. So the main focus to me is being able to really stop him, and the Union have been able to stop. They've been able to stop the other team's main guys. The other thing too, DC, they got the Union has DC's number. So something's got to give. And this game kind of worries me about that the same way it kind of worried me about Seattle. Last season, 6-0 losses. We beat them 6-0. We beat them 7-0. That, or two seasons ago. Sorry, 2 seasons ago. And then last season, I went to that game. The Union beat them 3-1. So it's going down there again. This crowd, they're a better team this year. You mentioned it earlier on. They're right behind us in the standings. So I really don't know what to expect for them fan-wise. So I'm a little anxious to see. I expect Curtin to come out with his typical 4-4-2 diamond with the main guys, probably minus Blake. I can't imagine. I really wish that he would just get healthy. And stay out. I know Zemlin gave up those goals, but I still feel comfortable with him back there. But I think the key to this game is just being able to just score. Gazdag's going to have to be big. You mentioned it before. He's our guy. So he's going to have to be him and Carranza. They're going to have to step up, and they're going to have to bother Bentique defensively and just get in his head, and hopefully he doesn't take over the game.
Yeah, and like I said, when you look at this, the positive though, when you look at this DC team, I got written down here. They lead the league in yellow cards with 37 yellow cards. So obviously they catch some discipline on the field as well. So if they're going to be a headache for the referees, that could favor the Union as well. And that's where, again, if it comes to penalty kicks and all that stuff, that's where it could really favor the Philadelphia Union. Maybe this is why one of the good reasons why that DC hasn't been running away with the ball, because, like I said, on paper, like you said, you got some facilitators, you got a stud out there. You should be running away with the division, but if the yellow cards are going to be your problem and you're not going to be able to play disciplinary soccer, then that could favor the Philadelphia Union as well. It's the Philadelphia Union. I just hope their head's not stuck in the sand. I hope they get their head out of the sand and get their head up in the air and start wanting to play some soccer, because 2 losses could really start to mess with the mindset of the Philadelphia Union. So I hope they just they turn some things around.
And I looked at the weather. It's supposed to rain a little bit down there. So I'm hoping that, the Union, they know how to play in the rain. So I'm hoping that's a factor. into play. But I'm trying to look at everything positive. It bothers me a little bit that DC just beat this Seattle team that we just lost to. So it's like, dang, man, like I'm really trying to like
Yeah,
reach and try to find something here, and it's like, oh man, I can't find anything other than Gazdag breaking the record. That's all I can find, and it's like, oh man. But they've been good on
yeah,
the road. They've been good on the road this season. So
yeah, and like I said, who's going to step up? That's going to be remaining to be seen. JD Walker checking in. He goes, "Good evening, folks. Working on my writing after doing the videos yesterday. Great meeting you, Steve, the other night."
oh yeah, JD, dude, thank you so much for showing me around, having dinner with me, and giving me some pointers. It was definitely helpful. It was good meeting you, man.
He showed you the ropes.
Oh yeah, dude, he was telling me where not to sit. Make sure you get the cookies. I was like, oh man, I can't. I wish I
Yes,
could have. He was like, make
yes,
sure you get the chocolate chip. He was like, the chocolate chip cookies are
yes,
gonna go quick.
yes,
And he was like, and
yes.
make
He's a
sure, he
smart
was like,
man.
be on your toes. He was like, be on your toes back here. He's like, you're going to have to bounce back and forth between this column. And then afterwards, he showed me where to go. He showed me where,
Yes.
the route to go for the, to get to the post game room
Hmm.
with Jim. So no, it was all helpful, man. It was great. It was real great.
Yeah. Listen, JD is a good guy. Again, does a heck of a job up there. Again, but yeah, when you have that big giant walking beam right in front of your face, it's kind of you're playing limbo at the time. Just kind of rocking back and forth, trying to see the
There,
action from the press.
there was
Uh,
there was a few times too where I was like you could hear the crowd was like, oh, and I was whoa, 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 whoa. And then the
yes.
TV, he told me, he was like, and he was like, he told me about the TVs. He was like, you got about 30 to 40 seconds from the what happens on the field to the TV. So if you do miss it, you're going to be able to see it up there. He was like, and so sometimes it can be beneficial. I was like, oh, well, you know what? Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Yes, yes, he's a smart man. He knows about it. He goes, this week in Union feels like it's fine. Memes, where everything is on fire. Yes, it does. It does feel like it's on
It does.
fire.
It does. It does.
We
Oh
mentioned
man.
earlier, like we looked at it like it's only two losses. It's only one of the first loss of the season. But however, I mean, this town, that's how much we hate losing here. We can't stand it. And it's only two losses, only two. But like I said, I just hope it doesn't get in there here. I just hope it doesn't stick here. If it's anything, it's telling you other guys need to step up. It's telling you other guys you need to be more consistent. Other than Dalen Gazak, can't just put the whole team on his back and say, "Hey, let's go." He's not Tyrese Maxey. Come on. I mean, some other guys need to come through. I mean, it's nice
I
to
will
see
say that.
McGlynn.
Yep. I was just about to say. Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see the McGlynn's of the world getting open again. Bedoya just being a facilitator, just making a nice dish pass, found it wide open, and he just from the 18 just goes top shelf. I mean, something like that, and I'm hoping it gets him motivated to want to do some more damage. Quentin Sullivan, he's great. I get it. A lot of people pay attention to him because of his quickness and his speed, but I'd like for him to start shooting the ball some more.
He's kind of quieted down too. He's kind of came down to earth the last few weeks. I feel like
Hmm.
I feel like some teams are, you know, I feel like the youth can kind of show with some of these guys where it's not like they don't have high soccer IQ, but it's just you know you know where to be at certain times of just like at work you know where to be at certain times
Yeah.
when certain things are going to happen and the timing of things, and it's just I think players in away our opponents are just able to kind of figure these things out, that it's okay if it's just his speed that we have to deal with and we can kind of get in his head with other things. But I'll tell you what, his athleticism just makes up for so many other things. But he has kind of come down to earth a little bit these last few weeks. So I think this DC game, where, like you said, you want to see him, kind of shoot the ball more and take some of those shots and some of those risks. This is the team to do it against. If DC is giving up as many goals as they have a -1 goal differential so far in the season, and they've given up 15 goals. So this is the game where you're going to be able to do it, where some of these guys have the opportunity where they can step up. He's looked good some games. He looks great some games, like he's the striker that they're paying for. And then there's some games where it's like, come on, man, like you're getting paid to be doing this consistently. And it's like he's got to be part of that three-headed monster of him, Gazdag, Carranza.
Yeah, he started out the season on fire, and then it's kind of like he's back on back of the milk carton again. Like, where you at, Holmes? So yeah, listen. What's your final prediction for Saturday?
Based off these last two games, I would be happy. I would love obviously a win, but I would be happy with a tie. And I can see this being a 2-2. Depending on who's in goal. And to be honest, I think I'd rather almost have a healthy Zemla in goal. And I think this is a 2-2 draw. I think DC is playing for something, pride, if anything, in this game, but being right behind the Union in the standings. And just, the battle in 95, just right down the road. So I can see this being a 2-2 draw. I think Benteke will get one of his, he'll get a goal. He'll get one for DC, but I'd like to see Jack McGlynn. Jack McGlynn, I think him and Carranza put goals in for the Union. 2-2 draw.
A 2-2 draw. That sounds more reasonable. That sounds about fair. I'm going to go the other way. I'm not going to go win. I think it's going to be another loss. I think it's going to be a 2-1 win DC. I think the Philadelphia Union needs to still shake out some issues that they're having. I think DC is going to strike first. I think they strike too early. They play great defense throughout the course of the game. I think the Union are only finding one goal, and that's going to be another Gaza goal, and that's going to be it. So I think it's going to be a 2-1 win going DC's way. Let's get into, of course, we got to go out of market games. Steve, I'm going to give you first. What game are you interested in seeing outside of the Union in DC?
So I'm going to be honest. I didn't really see any other games. The one that stood out to me, of course, was this Miami Red Bulls, and I was like, there's got to be another good game out there. And then I dug deep a little bit more. This Atlanta Minnesota game, I think, is going to be really, really good. Atlanta's kind of been one of those teams that it's you don't know kind of what you're going to get, but they got guys. They got guys there. They've been dealing with injuries too. I think when the Union played them, it was 2-2 draw, but they were dealing with a lot of injuries. Minnesota's a top 5 team in the West, so I think that's going to be the game that I'm going to have my eye on.
Okay.
Outside of the Union game.
I'm going to go up. I'm going to go up 95. I'm going to go not to Red Bull or Miami. I'm going to go NYC and Colorado. Both teams are sitting in the 60s of East and West. I'm going to go there. I think that's going to be a dogfight you're asking for or wanting to see. That's going to be my game of the week to watch. And now let's get into Sunday. Yes, it's a good Sunday 4:00
game.
Yes, you can't beat it. So now let me ask you, meal of the night, where are you going? Well, you'll be down there.
I'm going down there. I when I go to back home, pretty much, I cheat on my food allergy.
Yes,
I deal with it at the end of the day. So I'm going to this my one buddy. He's a bartender at this place called Blue Oyster Pearl Dive. They got great food, so I'm diving in over there, man. I'm getting whatever all the bad food that I can get. Their burgers are good. I'm probably gonna get a burger, and I'm after
There
the
you go.
game. Hopefully, it's not a loss. If it is your outcome, I'm definitely finding one of those side vendors, getting a hot dog,
Yes.
getting a pizza, just melt my sorrows
Yes.
in food. So this weekend, going home,
Yes.
going back. Going back home, I'm eating bad. I'm eating all the junk food. What about
That's
you? What do you got?
that's very good question. Well, first of all, I might have to go. It's been a little while, but I'm due to smash up some tacos, like homemade tacos. So refried beans, like the home form, my home supervisor, she'll make it all. Like I'm due to go that route. I'm due to smash up some good old tacos and really put a beat on it, put a beat on the kitchen. So I think I'm gonna go that avenue as well. So yeah, give me some homemade tacos Saturday night. Big time
Yeah,
game here for your Philadelphia Union and DC. And hopefully, if it's an L, I'll probably wind up eating like 7 of them nonstop. Either way, I think I'll throw
yeah.
down 7. Uh,
I was gonna
either
say,
either
I
way,
was gonna say seven. That's the under. That's the under.
yeah, that is the under.
That
That's
must be them
definitely an under.
the little mini tacos. Those are those little mini
Yeah,
ones. Then the little mini flour. Yeah,
yeah. The gobbler, he'll do some damage. But
yeah.
listen, this has been a great episode, Steve. Final thoughts, and where can people find you on social media?
Final thoughts. Got to get some sort of points, whether it's a draw or a win. You know, walking out of DC with a loss, you're coming back home, back to back games where you're going to have Saturday into another Wednesday game. You're not going to be coming into a very happy fan base. So you got to walk away with some sort of points from this game, whether, like I said, whether it's a draw or a win. You can find me on X at Soldier Steve 247. You can also find the articles that I do after the games, power rankings. I do that from time to time on eopsports.com. And then constantly on X, like I said, and Twitter, you find me. I'm always posting stuff, always posting the shows from the network and all the other good things that Philly's got, man. So what do you
Yes.
got? Where can they find
Uh,
you?
uh, well, if Saturday night, it's definitely the kitchen. But if anything, you can definitely find me right here on X as well as Pat from Ambler. Guys, give me a follow if you can. Again, I'll be pumping out some. I'll be pumping out about the game on Saturday night. I'll be tweeting away. So guys, give me a follow. I appreciate it. I'll give you a follow back. And of course, guys, my final thought is, please, please, can someone other than Gazog please score? Can someone other than Gazog? Can we get a can we get an Uwa sighting somewhere? Can we get someone else to step to the plate and be more consistent like Gazog? Gazog's been on fire. Like I said, we cannot stress it enough that this guy has put up 57 goals in his career. That this guy made a backwards kick, ESPN highlight reel worthy. I mean, this guy's being a playmaker, but we need someone else to step up to help out because this team has looked flat for the past 48 hours, and we can't take it anymore. Can someone please step up to the
Needs
plate?
help.
Call
He
me
needs help.
Saturday. He needs help. But definitely, and guys, real fast before we roll air, my man JD says, thanks for the shout out, guys. Happy to help, Steve.
Thank you, JD. Thank you. See you next time, man. I'll see you next time up there.
All right. Well, listen, guys, we'll catch you later. Stay tuned because right after the Sixers game, my man Mitch, my man Dives, they will hopefully. We're not looking at the scoreboard. Hopefully the Sixers will win, and hopefully this will be a happy post game show and not a depressing one. But guys, stay tuned. EUP's got you covered, and we'll see you again. Come next week.
Night, everyone.
All right, guys. See you, bud.